The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates. It does not necessarily reflect the views of WDEL or Forever Media.
The Rick Jensen Show on 101.7 FM, 1150 AM, WDEL, and streaming to your smart speaker and mobile device.
Hey, before we get to Dan Simon, I want to remind you that coming up today during Delaware's Afternoon News with Chris Carl, the latest on Delaware's plan for a statewide electric vehicle charging network. Also, YouTube's making sure that you don't get bad medical advice, and should schools go to a 4-day week? Be listening today, Delaware's Afternoon News. Right after the Jensen Show, come your way in about 20 minutes. Dan Simon, financial planner, specializing in retirement income with Dan White and Associates. Hey, Dan, so what are we going to learn from you today?
Rick, good afternoon. How are you?
Good, sir. You?
I'm doing all right. Just wanted to touch a little bit on cost of living adjustments with Social Security and the solvency of Social Security these days. So it just came out recently. It looks like the cost of living adjustment next year for 2024, based off the latest consumer price index data, it's likely to be about a 3% increase for Social Security recipients, which would raise the current average monthly benefit to approximately $17.90 a month. The one caveat is they have not come out with what the Medicare Part B premiums are going to be next year. So Social Security recipients really won't know what the bottom line is until that figure comes out.
Yeah, they could have a 3% increase in cost of living and a 3% increase in your premiums, and it's a wash.
Well, they could have a 10% increase in premiums, and it'd be a negative.
Yeah, well, yeah. Actually, not a 3% wouldn't be a wash, because it's only a percentage of that $17.90 that you mentioned. But, yeah, you're right. 10% could be in other words, it's not going to be 3% because the cost is going to go up somehow. You know, you talk about the solvency of Social Security. What is the target date now?
So target date right now is 2033. Congress doesn't act in any regards. It's looking like Social Security will face an immediate 23% reduction across the board for benefits, which is pretty significant when you think about it. I mean, if you look at a married couple, dual income in retirement, that would cut their benefits by about $17,400 a year come 2033. That's a huge number. So are there going to be some changes to Social Security? I think so. I think you're probably going to see a tax increase across the board, which they're going to try to get some more money into Social Security. But the reality is the solvency of the system is failing at this point. So people need to plan for it in the event that an administration doesn't say we're going to tackle this thing and make some changes. But I think that's unlikely. I kind of look at Social Security as the definition of too big to fail. Social Security checks stop.
Yeah.
You got an impoverished elderly community. It's the reality of it. So,
well, yeah. Plus, now we have an earnings limit after I forget how much it is exactly, $100 and some odd thousand a year. You no longer, what is it, like 128 or 132? Right around around 132,000, I think, is what it is. That you don't pay Social Security on income that's greater than that amount. Well, that's one thing that's got to change if people want to keep this in place. So if everybody was taxed on this, no matter how much they made, and there was no income limit on this, then it would be flush until, of course, lawmakers decide they're going to weasel some money away from it some other way. But that would obviously be no problem. However, Democrats and Republicans both have their constituencies who are wealthy and do not want that. So
that is correct.
Yeah.
And, it's funny. Nobody really wants to touch Social Security because I think the first person who changes is going to be guilty of some type of mistake. So it'll be interesting to see with the elections coming up next year as to, if somebody wants to take a platform and say, we're not touching it or this is what we're going to do. But the reality is there do need to be some changes that need to be made because, 10, 15 years down the road from now, we're looking at a potential issue of benefits being reduced significantly.
All right, I just went to SSA.gov, Social Security Administration. Actually, that 132 number is about 4 years old. It's 160,200. So over 160,200, you're not taxing Social Security. What now? There are also I already saw some politicians screaming about somebody else that is running for office saying, "Oh, they want to raise the age limit on Social Security," and that's always what's been done in the past as well. Democrats, Republicans, they raised the retirement age on Social Security. That does not seem very politically profitable, considering it. What do you want to do? To get to age 75, 80? I mean, it seems to me like increasing the income amounts upon which you're taxed would be more politically savvy, I guess I'd say. Now, you talked to a lot of people in this field. What do you hear?
Interestingly enough, Rick. So interestingly enough, there's what's called the provisional income equation when it comes to Social Security and the taxation of your benefits. And the figures have not been updated since 1993. It's been 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Since those income figures were put out.
Right.
And I look at it, I'm like, that's a tax increase on seniors every year. It's not, it's not changed. Because the reality is, I mean, those dollar amounts were substantially less than what they're worth now, when you take into consideration inflation over the last 30 years.
So what they could do is instead of saying, okay, your maximum taxable earnings for Social Security is not just 160 grand, make it, $2 million. And now you don't have to raise any costs on your Medicare premiums, or and you don't have to say, hey, it's 2033, we're reducing your benefits by 23%.
Yeah, they got to figure out a way to get more money into the system, whether it's get more people working or increase that threshold for when you're done paying taxes into Social Security. Because the reality is, right now, it's a train crash down the road that nobody really wants to address.
And we're sitting there, and when you're working out a financial plan for somebody's retirement, I mean, you have to include all of these factors into that calculation as well, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we got to take into consideration what the numbers are today. I'm going to assume that Social Security is going to be down the road in the future. I do think there might be some minor changes, but I don't think benefits will reduce by what they're saying they're going to. But it's piecing everything together, whether, they've got other retirement assets, whether they've got, a pension. What we really focus on is piecing all the different income sources and assets together, to allow people to continue to live the lifestyle that they've grown accustomed to in retirement.
And good luck. I know. All right, Dan Simon, financial planner with Dan White and Associates, specializing in retirement income. You can give him a call. Talk to him, 888-690-8820. I've been a client for many, many years, happily so. 888-690-8820. And then Dan White has a program titled On the Money, Sunday mornings at 7 a.m., right here on 1150 a.m. and 101.7 FM.
Got it. Tune in. I'm sure it'll be a great show.
Thanks, Dan. Have a great day. Going outside, drink lots of water.